Good morning, Year 3 Amber. I hope you had a good day so far. Today in maths, we are going to be looking at elapsed time in groups of 15 minutes. Yesterday and the day before, we were looking at time in groups of hours and 30 minutes. Today, we're going to be looking at smaller groups of time of 15 minutes. So today's LI is to look at elapsed time of 15 minutes. Please pause the video here whilst you copy this LI onto your sheet of paper. So just to refresh from the last 2 days of learning, elapsed time means time from the beginning of events to the end of events and how much time has passed in between beginning of the event and the end of an event. So let's go and look at groups of 15 minutes on a clock face. So as you can see on this clock face, it has different numbers around the face of a clock. So the number 3 on the clock is one group of 15 minutes. So 5 minutes, 10 minutes and 15 minutes. So that's number 3. Number 3 to number 6 is another group of 15 minutes. Number 6 to number 9, if you can see here, is another group of 15 minutes, and 9 to 12 is another group of 15 minutes. So see how on this clock face it goes 5, 10, 15. So that's 15 minutes. Adding another group of 15 to 15 is 30 minutes. And adding another group of 15 to 30 minutes is 45 minutes. And adding 15 to 45 minutes makes 60 minutes. And as we went through just before half term, there are 60 minutes in an hour. So an hour can often be split up into groups of 15 minutes, as there are 4 groups of 15 within an hour. So let's have a look at some time jumps of 15 minutes in our word problems. Let's start with our example question. So last week, we were talking about Gemma and her family going all around Europe on the train. So we ended the word problems yesterday by Gemma and her family going to the hotel for the night. So we're going to start this example question with our morning routine. So Gemma and her adults wake up at 8 o'clock, get themselves washed at 8:15, have breakfast at 8:30 and leave for the day at 8:45. How long did they spend in the hotel? So I'm going to use this question as a demonstration. So from 8 o'clock to 8:15, we're going to draw an arrow of 15 minutes. Then draw another arrow, also 15 minutes. Then another arrow, one more arrow, 15 minutes to 8:45. So 15 and 15 make 30, as I demonstrated on the clock face earlier. Then 30 add 15 is 45. So they spent 45 minutes in the hotel. So as I said again, they got out of bed and got ready to get themselves washed from 8 o'clock to 8:15. So that's 15 minutes they did that. Add the 15 minutes they spent washing to that 15 minutes, which makes 30 minutes. And then add the 15 minutes to the 30 minutes we already have when they had breakfast. So 30 add 15 makes 45 minutes. So carrying on our adventures with Gemma and her family. So Gemma and her family arrive at the Comics Arts Museum in Brussels, which is a museum dedicated to comics. And here's a picture right here. And they arrive there at 9. They look at one of the galleries at 9:15, another gallery at 9:30, one last gallery at 9:45, and leave the museum at 10 o'clock. How long were Gemma and her adults in the Comics Art Museum? To repeat the question, Gemma and her family arrive at the Comics Art Museum at 9 o'clock. Look at one gallery of comics at 9:15, another at 9:30, one last gallery at 9:45, and leave the museum at 10. How long did they spend at the museum in total? I'd like you to copy out this number line with the times below. So 9 o'clock, 9:15, 9:30, 9:45 and 10 o'clock as stated in the question. And have a go at adding the 15 minutes together and see what you come up with. So, they arrived at 9 o'clock, so 15 minutes passed. Viewed one gallery from 9:15 to 9:30, so 15 minutes. (9:30 to 9:45) they viewed another gallery of comic art. And 9:45 to 10 o'clock they viewed another gallery. Sorry, they went to one last gallery at 9:45 and then left the museum at 10. So they spent another 15 minutes there. So, as we covered in the previous question, 15 add 15 is 30, add 15 is 45, and add another 15 minutes to that. Let's see if you can guess. It's 60 minutes. Well done if you got that. And also well done if you got 1 hour. Because as you see here, 4 groups of 15 minutes make an hour, aka 60 minutes. Gemma and her adults then arrive at what's called Mini Europe, which is a small village of models. So very miniature models based on sites you can see around Europe, such as Big Ben, the Eiffel Tower, and a miniature of the Danish city in Denmark called Copenhagen. So here's a picture of it here to give you an idea. So Gemma and her family arrive at Mini Europe at 10:15. Gemma and her family view Big Ben at 10:15. They then view the Mini Eiffel Tower at 10:30. View Mini Copenhagen at 10:45 and then leave at 11. So let's see how long Gemma and her family were at Mini Europe. To repeat this question, Gemma and her adults arrived at Mini Europe. At 10:15 they viewed Mini Big Ben. At 10:30 they viewed the Mini Eiffel Tower. And at 10:45 they viewed Mini Copenhagen and left at 11. How long were they there for? Please pause the video while you add up the groups of 15 minutes to see how long they were in Mini Europe. So, between 10:15 and 10:30 is 15 minutes. Between 10:30 and 10:45 is 15 minutes. And between 10:45 and 11 is also 15 minutes. So let's add these 3 groups of 15 together. So 15 add 15 is 30. And then add another 15 to that 30 is 45 minutes. So very well done if you got that. So after leaving Mini Europe and taking some photos of some more sites around Brussels, Gemma and her family get very hungry at 12 o'clock and go to a restaurant. So, at 12:15, they have their starters. At 12:30, starters is a small bit of food you have before your main dinner. The main course, which is the main dinner, they had at 12:30. At 12:45, they have their dessert or pudding. And then at 1 o'clock, they leave the restaurant. Very fast service. I'd give this restaurant 5 stars on TripAdvisor myself. So Gemma and her family arrive at a restaurant at 12, have their starters at 12:15, have their main course at 12:30, dessert at 12:45, and leave the restaurant at 1 o'clock. How long were they there? Please copy out this number line with the times I've put on it, and pause this video whilst you have a go. So, 15 minutes passes between 12 o'clock and 12:15. Between 12:15 and 12:30, another 15 minutes, which makes 30 minutes. Add another 15 minutes. This makes 45 minutes. Then add another 15 minutes, which makes 60 minutes or an hour. So 15, 30, 45, 60. So they spent 60 minutes / 1 hour in the restaurant. So our last part of the lesson once again will be clock faces. So one says 8:15, one says 9:30, one says 11:45, and to remind you of the first day when we drew clock faces, I've decided to do one at 12 o'clock. So please remember what I showed you on the clock face at the beginning of the lesson. If you can't remember, scroll back to it and see what I showed you. And please pause this video here whilst you have a go. So, our first clock face is 8:15. So we need to draw the big hand towards the 3 and the little hand towards the 8. 9:30. So we need to draw the big hand as it's 9:30, 30 minutes have passed. And 30 minutes is shown on the clock by the big hand pointing at number 6 and the little hand pointing at number 9. 11:45, when it's 45 minutes past, the big hand will go to 9 and the little hand will go to 11. And for 12 o'clock, both the big hand and the little hand point at 12. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson on elapsed time or time that has passed. So if you have any questions about time moving in groups of 15 minutes, please email your questions along with your work to year3@grange.harrow.sch.uk. Thank you very much.